Hello everyone, and thank you for coming back to yet another episode of The Gloving Paradigm. I am your host, Peter, aka LPD Dubuque, and this week shall be a very fun week for me because this is one of those topics that I actually like getting when a newcomer actually kind of brings it up to the surface for me. And what is it this week that I'm going to be covering? It's actually a very simple one. It is pretty much what somebody needs to understand when it comes to giving feedback. Basically, this is going to be a feedback etiquette episode, and the reason why I wanted to cover this is because this was brought to my attention by somebody who knew about gloving since 2010 but is only recently, within about past 2 years, has gotten into it, more committedly than he was back in the day, which is totally fine. That's totally understandable. One of the things that he was kind of talking to me about is that he wants to give good feedback. He wants to know how to give good feedback, and he feels like somebody who's, a little bit more green to the scene. He feels like maybe people just won't listen to what he has to say, which I don't think is necessarily true. And it's one of those things that I know kind of get a little hairy because somebody like me who's been doing it 10 years, we kind of have that old school mentality of like, why on earth am I going to listen to this scrub who's only been doing this for 2 years as I've been doing this for over a decade? That's understandable, and I get that. However, there's one thing I definitely want to tell everyone, that good ideas come from anywhere, and I mean anywhere. A bug can give you a brilliant idea if you just look for it, okay? So I want to kind of help break this mold and kind of help people really understand what they need to do in terms of how to give feedback and ways to go about giving feedback that kind of avoids the whole feeling like it's a microaggressive thing, which I'll kind of go into in a little bit, but just kind of, it's the best way I can describe it. Sometimes some people feel like it's a very microaggression type deal, when I don't think that's necessarily the case. And some things can just be taken the wrong way when the intention is not even there, but I will certainly try to help make you guys understand that as I go through this video. So first things we need to cover is, what is the importance of giving feedback and getting feedback? Well, it's all about growth. It's literally, that's all it is. It's just growing. It helps people improve. It allows you to work on your creativity and actually find new ways to be creative when you are hitting these kind of obstacles that come along when it comes to your gloving journey. And above all, it helps build relationships. Okay, it's one of the things that I will scream off the top of my lungs on the top of a mountain to the world, that one of the greatest things about gloving, it's the social aspect, is being able to sit down with another person who likes what you like at the same time and be able to have a discussion, as well as appreciating each other's hard work. Like every other fandom or community or player base or whatever the case may be, where you have a group of people that have a like-minded commonality between them, that's what they all want. But when it comes to the feedback thing, it's all about helping us grow together as individuals and as a group of people, as a community. I don't know, man. So the ways that people have gone about getting feedback are very simple. You have the online outlet. You can post a video, ask people to give you feedback, and people can comment on your video to give you feedback. That's a very common, an extremely common thing for people to do. There are certain caveats that do happen when it comes to recording a show and actually posting a show and things like that, because certain things in terms of concepts may not translate very well on camera, but in person, it can look absolutely amazing. So please keep that in mind. It's the same idea when it comes to like color sets. Certain cameras kind of adjust the coloring on your sets through their resolutions to make it easier on themselves. So it's just something you do definitely need to keep in mind. When it comes to the video stuff, there are those kind of caveats. So you have to keep that in mind, especially if you're somebody who's trying to give feedback. You do have to keep in mind that yes, it is a video, and not everybody's going to have the best camera out there, and you got to learn to adapt to what people have presented to you, in a sense. Say what? You know what I mean? So one of the things I will definitely say is, like, you can post on any social media, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, WhatsApp, TikTok, Snapchat, MySpace?
No! God, please, no! No!
maybe. Anyways, yeah, so you have all these different ways to go. You can actually direct message somebody, or DM as people has known it. You can send it directly to them, and you get that personal feedback where no one else is seeing it, and you're just getting it from the one-on-one experience. That's a very common thing to happen. I will certainly tell you, a lot of the newcomers on the Discord chat, do that for me. They send me their stuff, and I give them as much feedback as I can. And I try to do as much information as possible as I can, so they actually have a really good, data pool to work with about their craft, And of course, there's always chat rooms. Chat rooms is another place that you can post a video and have a group of people, give you feedback. You have these various outlets online. One of the other things I will definitely say is another way that people have been doing it, and this is a growing trend now, which I like this trend. This trend is actually a really good trend, in my opinion, for gloving, is live feedback. Now, what do I mean by live feedback? Yes, in person is live feedback, but that is a separate thing. When it comes to live feedback, is typically between public video chat or private group chats that are video as well. Okay, so you guys know I've said this for the past 20 episodes. I've been hanging out on Discord with all the people on there, and actually really dedicating myself on Discord and helping people learn.
You what?
That has been a huge driving force in helping develop people in their craft. If you are a newcomer who's not on the Discord chat with Worldwide Glovers, you need to get on there first of all. And secondly, if you see Mutton Chop Guy in the public labs, you need to be hopping in on there, because that is me. I am there to help you. So do not hesitate to do that. I'm just letting you know that right now. That's me. I'm Mutton Chop Guy. Do not hesitate to hop in the lab and just say hi. You don't have to throw a show in order for you to develop. You can just ask simple questions, and I'll be more than willing to help you out.
Run.
But yes, the public video chat rooms have been very, very helpful. People are immediately getting, not only are they getting feedback what people like and what they think they need to work on, but they're getting the type of feedback that helps them actually work on it. They're actually getting that kind of interaction where somebody can be like, hey, try it this way, and they can show it right there and then, and the person can immediately pick up on what they're working on and get better at it. That's the idea. Okay, and of course, when it comes to private group chats, it's the same thing. You're getting that live reaction over, a video feed, and X amount of people, on there giving you the feedback. Those have been a huge growing trend lately, and it's, mostly due to the current world situation, as I go to refer to it.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
That, that's what we have to work with now, and I will certainly say the live video chat room setup has been a huge driving force now to help people really develop, and I do highly, highly encourage people to work on using these live chat rooms. Now, I can certainly tell you that there are some people like, well, I don't have a good computer and I don't have a good webcam. I'm going to tell you this right now. 99% of us use our phones with a clip on it. That's literally how easy it is. If you have any phone that has been produced in the last 4 to 5 years, you have a good quality camera, enough to be sufficed to be on these public lab chats. It's just one of the things I do want to kind of stress to everybody, that if you feel like, oh, you have to have the best equipment, you have to have this, you have to have that. No, stop right now. You don't need any of that stuff. You just need what will be adequate to help. Okay, and majority of the time people are using their mobile phones. All right, that's just putting that out there. So, one other place that you get feedback from is in person, where you actually go to events and venues or festivals or whatever the case may be, even comps, for crying out loud. You can get these live in-person feedback from people, and it's, in my opinion, yes, the in-person feedback is the best type of feedback you can get, because not only are you there physically and you're getting that feedback back, but people can actually help you more intimately on how to work on your craft. They can actually help put your hands in the right placements. You know what I mean? You see the level I'm getting with, where you go from the levels of feedback where you just post a video to a live feedback to literally in person. These are the best ones that you have. Raves, of course, festivals and venues are another great place. You got competitions as well. As much as some people might tell you that going to a competition to go get feedback is not a great idea, that's a blatant lie. And whoever told you that is lying to you. competitions is probably the best place to go to get feedback. Now, granted, these people are thinking in a more competitive aspect of it all. However, thinking competitively when it comes to gloving is not a bad idea. It gives you a different perspective to think of and think from when it comes to your craft. You know what I mean? There are different ways to look at it, and there's nothing wrong with looking at your own craft from multiple perspectives, especially if it comes from a competitive perspective. You know, I always ask anyone who's in a competition or who's on an online comp. I always ask them questions about how they are feeling about the competition, like how they're going about it, like what do they think when they go into these competitions. That's something I always want to ask people, because I want to get these different perspectives of how people approach the competition scene. Granted, I'm not a person who approaches the gloving competition scene like everybody else, but I love to hear people's stories about that. So, just a little caveat, if you have any wonderful stories about your gloving competitions experiences, I would love to hear them. You can always send me my email at munchupguide@gmail.com. Don't hesitate to do so. Anyways, back to the episode. I've been digressing a little bit.
Stop it. Get some help.
So, with all those places in mind, with all those avenues that you can take to get your feedback or give feedback, I'm going to explain to you the do's and don'ts when it comes to the giving or receiving feedback. Now, one thing I'll definitely say is when somebody says, would you like to hear feedback? That gives you the opportunity to say no. I'm the type of person that's like, if you feel like it's necessary to give me feedback, let me hear it. You know, I would like to hear what you think I need to work on, because what if what I need to work on is something I'm just not seeing, you know, or maybe I'm just not seeing it in that kind of perspective, and you tell me that kind of feedback to explain it to me is going to help me see it from that kind of perspective, right? So when it comes to giving feedback, I do like the idea of people saying, would you like to hear some feedback? Unless somebody specifically like makes a post saying, I would like to hear feedback. You know, if it's, you know, one major thing I will certainly say, especially when it comes to like the live chats or in-person chat, people have said, you know, I would love to hear some feedback. So if you hear somebody say that after they, you know, give a show, whether it be a game of Buwas or, you know, a game of Glove or whatever the case may be, that's definitely your opportunity to help them out. And if no one really asks for feedback, but you want to give them, definitely ask if you know, they're willing to hear for some feedback. Never really had anyone really say that they didn't want to hear feedback. Now, here's one thing I'll definitely say when it comes to giving feedback. You need to explain everything, okay? And what I mean by explaining everything is, like, if you say that something was good, explain how it was good. Tell them, like, explain the sequence you saw that you were impressed by and that you want to compliment on. That way they know what you're talking about, and you can have a discussion of like, oh yeah, that concept was really cool, this is how I did it, therefore causing people to learn and grow together. You know, that is the idea I'm trying to convey here.
Wait a minute! Who are you?
One of the other things I definitely want to say is, you know, when you're also explaining your feedback, like say like, oh, you know, you're not following through with your flow properly, right? And what I mean by not following through is like somebody who's not literally doing all the way in and all the way out with their whips, as an example, you know, things of that nature, where you're not following through with the motions that you need to follow through depending on the concept that you're going with. You know, explaining that to them is going to help them get better at that. You know, it's one of the things I hear people that, you know, when they get feedback and they hear like, do more finger rolls. Okay, well, why do they need to do more finger rolls? Like, what is wrong with their current set of finger rolls right now? And they don't get anything back. Like, you know what I mean? If you understand where I'm coming from on that kind of measurement, is if somebody tells you that, but they don't elaborate, that's not good feedback. You know, elaborate on what somebody needs to work on and explain how they should work on it, or ways to explore on working on it, which is the segue to the next part.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
You know, that's not helping. That's not helping at all. You're just telling them something and then leaving them at their own devices. Now, if you're the type of person who sits there, it's like, well, they should just figure it out on their own. That's not how it works. This isn't Common Core. Stop trying with that mentality.
I can't believe you've done this.
You know, especially for somebody who's been doing this since 2010. Yeah, I know the old school mentality of tough love and doing it on your own. And you have to figure it out on your own. But guess what? I started this podcast to break that habit, to eliminate that thought process from our community, because it is not needed here anymore. We need to grow together. All right. So, like I said, it's a segue offering ways to explore the concepts that they need to work on is another way to help them grow and develop their craft even more. Like if you see something that they need to work on, the first thing I definitely want to say is one of the best things you can do for the gloving community at large is, the compliment sandwich. If you guys ever watch Family Guy, you know what I'm talking about. You say something nice, you tell them what they need to work on, and then you end on something nice, right? Believe me, as cliche as it sounds, it is probably one of the best standards that you can have in terms of feedback to either receive or give, whatever the case may be. And it's because I don't like this whole idea where somebody is like, oh yeah, this is really good. Now let me like rip your show apart and, poke holes in everything, and then not like end it on like, oh, but you had this going for you, and those are fantastic. I absolutely love those. Leaving it on a note kind of like that where you kind of just like rip their show apart and then kind of like leave them to the dust, it only causes feels bad and it discourages people from actually pursuing even further. So that's something I will definitely tell people, that if you're going to give feedback, please do the compliment sandwich. It does help, because then they realize like, yeah, they have things to work on, but there are things that they know that are good. They have things in their repertoire that is good, and people see that they're good. If you're the type of person who only pokes holes in everything but not give any compliments to help show that what they are doing is working and that they are making a level of progress, you're only tearing it down. Like that doesn't help people get better. You know what I mean? And if you think so, you have the worst mindset ever.
Daddy, chill.
Okay. And like I said, as another segue, always compliment. Always compliment on something that you see that you liked, because people need to hear that they did something that was working for you, or that it works for a lot of other people. Something that impressed you, something that you just admire. Like I admire anytime somebody throws any old school style show or just any old school style moves, or use old school style moves in a new tech sense, like using accelerometers and doing the whole hand cage thing and shaking your hands vigorously just to activate the accelerometers. That's using old school moves with new school tech, right? And that's things that I always want to compliment people on. And it's because, it, as much as it sounds so minor, it's very, very important, okay? So let me kind of just reiterate with the don'ts, since I already did with the do's. Don't only critique and criticize, all right? If you just walk in and start poking holes into somebody's shows, and you tell them that this is trash and this is trash and this is trash, but you do not give even a single letter to help them improve on what they need to work on, you are not helping. You are literally just destroying somebody and putting them down, and it does not work. If you say, oh, well, that's the tough love mentality, that should be motivating them. No, you're discouraging them and wanting them to leave the community forever. And that is not something we want in the community. We want more people in here. We want to help people grow. We want to show people what we are passionate about, and people to appreciate and love the things that we are passionate about just as much as we do.
6.5 hours later.
Okay, if somebody is shown so much interest and so much intrigue in gloving, you should help them get in, not push them out. Which kind of goes to the next two things. Don't be a dick and don't be a troll. All right, like everybody knows, when it comes to gloving history, in the early days we had a really, really, really bad, and I mean really bad, troll problem. If you think that trolling right now in the Glover's Lounge is bad, you should have been there in the early days. All right, I'm just telling you right now, because it was a toxic cesspool, a black eddy of despair. And it was just so uncomfortable to even look on the pages because of how much hate and how much discussion was happening that was nothing but trolls.
Do you honestly think you're fucking funny?
Okay, that's just... Obviously I went a little too far on that. Maybe I should stop with these voice impressions. I don't know. You tell me.
Stop it. I said stop it.
But yeah, don't be a dick, don't be a troll. And if you're a type of person like me who has a tendency of being brutally honest, please kind of disclaim that before you go off. You know what I mean? It's because, and I'm not saying it's like you need to be sensible of people's sensibilities, Like, no, you just gotta, kind of have people just be prepared for hearing certain things, because if you're intending to help, but it can come off as very, microaggressive, which if you don't know what microaggression is, it's like something coming off that you're not supposed to sound racist or any variation of prejudice, but it does come off prejudice in some fashion. And again, I'm not going to get in detail, but I would certainly say to certain levels of feedback that I've seen other people get, it felt like a microaggressive way of going about it. And I'm not saying that like they were trying to be racist or anything. It's just, what I mean is like they are trying to help, but it comes off of them just like literally trolling people. You know what I mean? Like, oh, do more finger rolls. And then they kind of like, they try to elaborate, but don't do it really well. It sounds like they're trolling, Or if they don't do it all, it's like a clear troll to me. So, yes, that is pretty much all for my episode. I am pretty much running out of ideas of how to talk about on this particular topic. But, my final thoughts is that if you are giving feedback, try to explain everything in detail that you're trying to discuss about with this particular individual. Compliment on the things that they're doing good, so they know what they're doing good and know what they are good at. And then tell them what they need to work on. But do end on a high note of like, this was really great. Overall, your show was fun to watch, whatever the case may be. Now, one other thing I definitely want to stress is that if you don't see anything wrong with their show, just let them know. I didn't see anything wrong with their show. I thought everything was just great. Just keep doing what you're doing. That is perfect feedback. You know what I mean? It's granted, maybe you didn't see something, but somebody else did. And that's fine. Because it's showing you, as somebody who's giving feedback, that you didn't see something that somebody else did, and that gives you the opportunity to learn on your feedback as well. But I'm the type of person that if I didn't see anything wrong and I don't have anything to quote-unquote complain about, because I don't really complain, I do want to help people learn, I let them know. I didn't see anything wrong with your show. Your show was great. Everything about it I enjoyed. Like, I can't really poke any holes into it. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. You're on the path. So yes, that is it. That is all for my episode. Thank you so much for everybody listening. You guys are absolutely amazing. I'm so happy I was actually able to do this episode, because when this was brought to my attention that somebody's like, I really want to know how to give good feedback, and I really want to help people, especially somebody who's just starting out relatively recently, wants to help the community grow. And so I wanted to do my part to help people learn how to give feedback properly and actually help people develop and grow together, because that's the only way that this is going to keep going, is that the community joins together in solidarity and actually help each other out instead of putting each other down. All right.
Rise and shine.
So if you have any questions that I did not cover on this episode, you do have the various outlets you can, various outlets I have you can hit me up at. First of all, I do have the Facebook page, which is aptly named The Gloving Paradigm. If you can go and hit that like button on there, that'll be most appreciated. It shows that you are listening. It shows that you do support the channel in the minimum amount of way, and I love it. So please, if you haven't, go on there, like it. That's where I put a lot of my stuff. I do communicate as much as I can on there. I do post in all the major Facebook groups, so you can hit me up there. I am also on Reddit under the username Mutton Chop Guy. So if you are on Reddit and you want to hang out there, you can always hit me up there as well. Of course, I do have a Discord server for all my people who just like to hang out. You can go and hit the link in the description below, as well as all the other links in the description below, because I'll have all my social media down there. Of course, I am on Instagram and on YouTube. Instagram I'll have up on there as well, and you'll also find my YouTube channel link down there below. I am backlogging as much as I can. It's just been a little crazy with starting my new job and getting everything kind of rolling and trying to get the schedule all set in place. But I will actually continue working on getting those episodes uploaded. Do not worry. Of course, if you like the content that I create and you wish to help me make better content so gloving content can become much better overall, please consider supporting me on Patreon. As little as $1 a month, you will be helping this show continue by keeping the lights on. You do get behind the scenes content. You do get your own separate Discord channel that you can hang out with all the other Patreons. Of course, if you jump onto the $3 a month, you do get early access to the episodes. And I'm certainly telling you right now, with a couple of the episodes I have coming down the pipeline, you might want to get on that, because there's a particular individual who has a particular announcement that I'm not going to show any more details right now, but I will certainly say You do not want to miss this.
Oh, good for you.
I swear, if you miss this or you sleep on that episode, you are doing yourself an injustice. Just pointing that out. But yes, please do consider supporting me on Patreon. You know, help me get to my first goal of $1,000 a month where I can do content creation full time and I don't have to work a day job in order to keep the lights on. So, once again, thank you to everybody listening to this lovely podcast. Thank you to everybody who's shown their silent moral support. If it wasn't for you guys, the show would not have continued on. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I absolutely love all of you guys. But I am your host, Peter, aka LPD8 Dubuque. And I'll see you guys all next week.